wanted to have a place for um, different entrepreneurs to come, and each week we have a talk, not a sales presentation, but something that can add value to all entrepreneurs, and a place that you could even bring your customers, whatever they're in, that would add value to their lives as well. And so today I've been thinking about what would really add value in this time, and this is going to be very interactive because when I do presentations, ones like this, I work on them and we'll do them for different groups, and I will keep them going. And so right now it's very fluid, and I'm going to ask that you not be muted and that you interact because I may gain something from you on this that will be very important to share. I think we can all say that if we were sitting around last year at Lunch for Life this time and we said, what's it going to be like next year? None of us would be very good at predicting this because our lives have changed. And, I've, I've been a psychotherapist for 25 years, and I always say that we're the only people that really like change because that's what we get paid to do, but the average person doesn't. But there are always good things that come in change too. And I'm sure that there are a lot of us on that love the old way of networking. I'm a belly to belly person. I like to have someone there. I'm one of those people on Facebook. I put up a post the other day, for us that were huggers, the crisis is real because I am a hugger and this is gone. But we also want to look at the things that are positive and how do we grow our businesses and how do we do networking. So I'm going to start off. And I didn't get it. Oh, okay, I did get it. I want to ask you all, how many of you are going to networking meetings now? And about how many you go to per week?
Say that again, Kimball.
Personally or virtually?
Virtually. I mean, and if you're going face to face, I'd be curious to know because I know there are some that are meeting. But how are you networking face to face? And are you going to networking meetings? And if you are, how many per week about are you going to?
Per week, at least 3, maybe 4 sometimes.
Okay.
I'm with Roy, 3 or 4. I try to budget my time because I got to work sometimes. So
yeah, that's true. That gets in the way, doesn't it?
and you can do as many as you want because they're out there and they're all. I haven't attended a bad one yet, I don't think. So maybe there's some out there. I
haven't either. No.
All the ones I've attended, I've been able to pick up something from them. But I try to keep it at 3 to 5 hours a week because that's the time of day when I can do a little work before, a little work after. Nothing face to face.
I've been attending nothing face to face, all virtual, and about one a day, I would say. And on the weeks when I don't attend networking meetings, I miss them. I notice a downturn in my productivity because I don't have that connection, even if it is a virtual one with other people.
Motivation.
Yes. Thank you, Gary. That's what I'm looking for.
How about you, Drew?
Probably 5 a week, something like that. Sometimes twice a day, usually one a day so that I can get my work done outside of it. But I agree, and they're all virtual. I agree that it's critical for me to have that interaction with people because I don't see anybody outside of here for the most part. And it has enabled me to stay connected.
Okay. How many of you are doing more one-on-ones than you were before the pandemic?
Yeah, I am.
I am.
You're doing more?
More.
Okay.
Well, one-on-ones, you mean virtual?
Virtual, but
much more because I don't get to see anyone. My situation, and you know a little bit about it from other networking groups where I've spoke about it. My wife works in Wake Med Emergency Department in the main wake. She is exposed to COVID on a daily basis every day that she works. So I'm exposed whether I choose to be or not. So I'm a little more cautious, and just finding out a few months back I have diabetes. So that's one of the things that first thing they say when they're talking is, I'm in a risk group. All although I have no symptoms and everything's under control, it's just I have to look. You know, I don't want to spread it, but I don't want to contract it. So I'm in that lull area where I got to choose which is best for my clients, which is best for me. Now I have visited some clients, but for the most part, I'm going to be in my office. So networking is incredibly vital to me, more than I can express.
Are you really seeing more people over Zoom or whatever than you did when you were out seeing people?
I am, because a lot of my contact is with businesses since I do business
Yeah,
type work.
too.
So, yeah, and they will tell you, I always inquire, is it okay if I come in? I'll take the proper protocol, whatever. And most respectfully say no. So if I reach out beyond networking, it's got to be one-on-ones, you know. And a lot of times I try to be spontaneous. What do I have left to do today? Do I have the time to do it? And most of the time, it's worth every minute to me to make that time and say, hey, Kimball, I need a one-on-one. I need to talk with you. And it's hard to keep it in 30 minutes because when
That's for sure.
when you've been cooped up for months,
Oh gosh.
there's a lot you want to let out, you know.
I know it. I know it.
Oh, I know it.
That's just my perspective.
Well, Aaron, are you doing more or doing less?
I don't know if I count because my situation is somewhat unique. I did not start my business full time until COVID. So before I had another job and I was doing no one-on-ones because I had that other job. I quit that job on March 30th, 31st, whatever that last day of March is. And I have been doing more one-on-ones, a lot of one-on-ones actually, since COVID. And I will say one thing about this. Number one, I've been doing them all virtually because I am housebound. I have a different situation. I don't trust other people to drive me places. I don't know who these people have had in their cars. I don't know them. And since I happen to be blind, I can't really get around any other way. My husband doesn't drive either. He cannot. So since I am doing everything virtually, I'm having more one-on-ones. And I actually plotted this out because I had that question too, Kimball. Am I doing more than I would have done before COVID, as in person interactions? Because I got curious about the technology and the effects. So I plotted it out. And I have had days when I had 4 one-on-ones between 9 and 2 p.m. I
Wow.
would not have been able to do that before COVID because of travel time.
Good point.
So on days that, I get really, I mean, I can book them potentially, more of them. I don't do this often because I have actual work to do, as I think Drew pointed out a little bit ago. Or Gary maybe, actual work to do. But there have been days when I have had a bunch of them and I would not have been able to have that many pre-COVID because of the travel time. I miss personal connection tremendously. I mean, I have my husband here, but he's my husband. I miss personal connection with others, but I think this technology has actually opened up new and easier ways of doing things that we should consider in addition to that personal connection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How about you, Drew?
I'm having less one-on-ones and the reason is the one-on-ones I have are with clients. I'm not having time to work with other people because I've already got the momentum going of other people knowing what I'm doing. So I keep getting referrals of people that want to write their books. Now, a lot of those one-on-ones go nowhere. I have got a referral last week. I still have to get back to this guy. He wanted me to do his book and we talked about it. And then he sent me a sample of it and there are no paragraphs, there are no chapters.
No.
And he wants me to take this to an editor. I have to tell him, this is not even a rough draft. This is a pre-rough draft. You have to do a lot more work before you go to an editor, unless you want it ghostwritten. And then we're talking 35 to 50K, So I'm getting some funny leads like that, but I'm also getting some good leads in terms of that. But I'm still really booked. I have been all year. it happened before COVID started, and I think it's the fact that I've been doing this for about 5 years now, and I finally have enough momentum going. I do miss doing the one-on-ones, but I just don't have time for it if I need to get my first obligation is to my current clients.
Well, you all are above the curve in what the research is showing and what I'm finding in most of the groups I'm asking. Most of the groups that I ask, people are not doing as many one-on-ones. They're doing a lot more networking groups than they were before because, just with driving around, people couldn't do as many as they are if you're able to just pop on and pop off. And what the research tells us is that the one-on-ones are critical. And how we're going to get our leads and our business is somewhat changing. So the very first thing that I'm going to advise you is that if you're going to do one-on-ones and network in this pandemic, is that you need to set goals of what you want to happen when you have that one-on-one. Typically, going to a meeting like this, the goal of it is to meet people that you want to get outside of the meeting with, find out about what they do, let them find out about what you do, and see if there's a way that you all can promote each other's business. And what the research is saying is that people are going to a lot more things like this, but there's less. I mean, we were interacting before we got started today, but many of the groups don't. And so they get on and they do their stuff and they get off. And so they're not getting the richness. But set your goal of what is it you want. When you go to the networking meeting, when I used to go to in-person networking meetings, my goal was to find 3 people that I was going to exchange information with, that I would not necessarily do a one-on-one right then, but they would be somebody in the next few weeks. It would be somebody I could start a relationship. And sorry about that. I have everything that comes through to my phone also comes through in all kinds of dings and dings. What is it you want out of it? What do you want out of each of these meetings? Who do you want to meet? And who are some other people that may be good cross referrals for you? They may have a business that is totally different from yours. I'm always telling people when you're networking, somebody that does the same thing as you, well, you all will have some stuff. But one of my best referral partners, or actually 2 of my best referral partners for a couple of years have been 2 different real estate agents. And our businesses are different, but we're really good at helping each other out. And, who can you make contact with that will be meaningful? So you want to be very clear on what your intention is. Now, another place to be thinking at this networking is we love all these networking meetings, and I like ones that I can go and I can get some meat and potatoes from. That's why I created Much for Life. I don't like going and listening to a sales pitch, particularly if it's a long one every single day of the week. I got way better things I could be doing. But have you thought about talking with family? Who did you go to college? Who are the people that went there, that went to your alma mater? Who are other entrepreneurs that you just know? Who's in your neighborhood? Are you in any social clubs? Reaching out to these people and rather than just doing a telephone call, because other than Aaron, I think most of us on here are way more visual than we want to admit. It's really special about being able to see the person. Like, I do my therapy sessions now, and I was thinking about last night. I was doing a couple session, and I've known these people for 10 years. They've been clients for something before, and they were talking to me, and she was saying, "Yeah, I want to save this marriage." And written all over her face was, "I just wish I wasn't sitting here right now." And it had just been auditory, and that's all I'd done was heard. The words were right, but the nonverbal was way too loud. So doing that with family, with friends, with neighbors. I remember that before COVID came along, I was kind of ahead of the curve, and I'd been trying to get people to do virtual coffees for me. And you know what? It would have been just about as easy to talk one of those people into letting me do a root canal on them. Nobody wanted to do that, but now people are open to the idea and make it fun. You have your coffee and they have their tea, and let's talk about, because Phil Davis, I'm a huge Phil Davis fan, and I probably will be till the day I die. It's all about who know, like, and trust. And I want to be a person who's likable, and I want to be a person who's trustworthy, and I want to be a person that they say, I'm glad I got to know Kimball. And so it's really about creating those relationships. Now, another way to do this is to engage in social media. And what that means is you've got to be doing enough posting that people know that you're out there. What's recommended is 3 to 5 times a day. I was doing that for a little bit. I'm not right now because I'm actually doing something different with Lori right now, and I just can't keep up with all of it. And so, but you've got to post at least 1 to 2 times a day on social media. But it's not just posting, and it's actually not just liking. You need to be looking at other people's posts, commenting on them, messaging them. Again, everything is about a relationship. What social media is for is to find a way to make contact with people, so you can move it off of Facebook into a more one-to-one type thing. You know, private message somebody. If you see somebody that has a question, private message them something that answers that. And I'll tell you what, if you want to really increase that relationship, don't let it be about what you're selling. Don't only message people that, like, oh, I do health stuff. And I think, oh, well, their hands hurt, so I'm going to send them blah, blah, blah. Message them about something else and start the relationship. Then once you've started that, set up a one-on-one. Or you could even ask them to join you on one of your networking adventures, like at Lunch for Life or Triangle Business Breakfast, or you're a member of BNI. That's what we did when we were seeing people face to face, or Fuquay Small Business. I mean, there's all these different places that you can ask them to come. And look for people that have similar interests to you, and just having those organic conversations. Update your LinkedIn profile.
Kimball,
Yes.
we're having a very hard time hearing you.
Yeah, you're breaking up a lot.
We can't hear most of what you're saying.
That's not good. Okay, well, hang on. Let me do something different. Let me see if I can go in from my phone instead of. I'm beginning to wonder if my issues with my Zoom are really my computer and not my.
It's
Hang on.
almost as if your microphone is covered by something.
Let me see. Can you hear me better now?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Much better.
Well, it
Yes.
probably was. That was the issue. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Hope you got enough anyway. So you want to update on LinkedIn because then people know that you're up to something when that profile is updated. Look at your LinkedIn and make sure that you have clearly communicated what it is that you're looking for, and message people on LinkedIn. There are lots of professionals there it's a great place to find people that you can work with. And then I'm going to tell you that one of the most important things is schedule time for one-on-ones. Anything that we leave to some time or I'll work it in, I promise you, your schedule will get full. So, like what I was doing before and what I'm doing now is I've got certain blocks where I block those just for one-on-ones. Now, a person made a comment that it's hard to get it in a half hour. You're absolutely right. So what I suggest is you say, let's do a one-on-one. And my goal is always, let's block it for a half hour. And during that half hour, I'm going to get to know you just as well as I can. And at the end, I'm going to say, wow, our time is up. I'd love to get together and talk with you so I can share too. So it really goes from one-on-one to the next one-on-one. And it's always my thing. I really always want to understand that other person before I even tell them that much about me. And I really think that every person is a novel anyway. A one-on-one is so much fun because I want to know about your kids. I want to know where you live, where you're from. I want to get to know you in that. And then from that, we're going to find out things because you know what? Most of the time, the people that I like doing business with, they're going to have characteristics and all that I find out from that. It's way more important than, just what they are selling or what I'm selling. You learn those things about that person. So you find out and block that out. Now, I have some other habits that I have that I've always found very helpful, and that is making a certain number of texts a day. It's not a text to sell, it's a text to say, hey, was thinking about you today. How are you doing? It's just a contact. In all of us are in sales. I don't care what you're doing. If somebody's on in here and they're just in the dating world and trying to find a husband or wife, they're in sales. They've got to sell themselves to that person. And it's all about the touches. And texts are a great way to make touches. And you can use that text of catching up with somebody to say, hey, let's get a coffee, a virtual coffee, because I'm not doing anything face to face. My goal is that I have to make a certain number of telephone calls per day, because no matter how much we text, no matter how much we email, any of these, talking is very important. I like for those to be Zooms, but if they're not, or FaceTime, but if they're not, I can live with it. But you want to do those. Now, I recommend that you make the call as a follow-up to either a text, an email, or some other kind, because you want to know that that person is already interested in talking to you. That will save you time on making phone calls where you're just leaving messages. And I don't know how it is, because I run two businesses and my husband has a third business and works in the two with me. And I don't know about you all, but I'm finding that I am way busier now than I was before we jumped into this virtual world where people keep talking about all the hobbies they've picked up, and I'm just trying to get through my days. So I think it's really important that you be efficient. And then emails, and pick a number. It doesn't matter what it is. What I really like, and I've had to cut back right now because, like I said, I'm doing something new with Roy, but it's 5 texts, 5 calls, 5 emails, 5 days a week. Mm-hmm. And that always kept enough people for me to be making contacts. Now, do you want to know who your very best referral partner might be? A customer.
Oh, yes.
A customer likes what you've done. What you really want is what Bill Davis always called the raving fan. And I was a Bill Davis raving fan. I can't tell you how many people I got to take 100 Days to Abundance with him, because I promoted Bill Davis all over the place. I absolutely adored him. I still do. I absolutely envy him, because he is living the life now and he's worked very hard to have it. So I'm happy for him. But, find, say, who do you know that's like you, that cares about their health? Or has a struggle, or if it's somebody I'm looking for, somebody that I'd like to partner with, who do you know that might like to do what I do? Because your customers, because they are your customer, if they're a repeat customer, they already know, like, and trust you, and they will feel safe sending someone to you. And they're going to know, they know you, they know what you do. So you really want to be working on this and expanding. Asking for the introduction is important, because, there's a real difference in a lead. And I did B&I for, I don't know, I guess 13 years. And the thing I loved about B&I is that you do an introduction. If I tell you that I've got a referral for you, I'm not just going to scribble their name on a piece of paper and a telephone number. I'm going to email that person. I'm going to do an introduction between the two of you. I'm going to share your information. I'm going to tell that person how I know both of you, and that why I think it'd be good for you all to connect. That is a referral. And I'm using my standing with that person to, so that they are interested in you. I'm using the know, like, and trust that they have from me in order to help you get business. And so if somebody says, I've got somebody, don't be shy. If they're saying they want to do a referral for you, tell them how you want it. Kids under 5 years of age, before they've gone to kindergarten, get more for what they want than anybody else, because they ask for it. Once they get to kindergarten, we start training those children not to ask for what they want. And then we're curious when they get out in the work world and they're scared to ask anybody for anything. Well, the teachers trained them not to do that, and they learned it very well. So bring out that, 2 or 3, 4-year-old in you and ask for what you want. And introductions are it. And if another thing is, if you are looking at blogs or something and you think, wow, I'd like to know that person. Maybe that's a person that has, maybe I encourage you to try to network up. as much as you network down. A lot of times we network and we ask for a one-on-one for someone we think that, maybe they're at the same level than we are. Well, stretch, reach up. But say it's a blog writer, message them something about how you like their blog, or message them with a question. Now, you've got to be genuine, and don't message them with something that the all-knowing Google can answer in 2 seconds, because they're going to know that you're just, but you want to create a relationship. And then if they give you some information, then follow up with that. Again, it's all about creating a relationship, asking their opinion, and you want to make a good impression. So there's something, and I'm getting to the point where I'm using this. It's something called a branding narrative. Has anybody ever heard of a branding narrative? Drew might have, because I'd never heard of this. This is a new concept for me. Now, I've got a pretty long CV because it goes back to when I taught at Carolina and all of my past lives and owning franchises and all of that. So it's pretty long. But a branding narrative is one slide. And on one slide, you're letting that person know who you are, your personal attributes, your achievements. It's kind of like a quick and dirty resume, and I love things that are quick and dirty. I like, I'm the kind of person that's always loved to read these really long books, but I'm going to have to say that Facebook is changing me where sometimes short things are better. But what if you send this to the person before you have that one-on-one? And it's funny because, B&I has their gains profile, and I always had my gains profile done. And anybody that's ever done a one-on-one with me when I was doing B&I gave them a hard copy of my profile, because it told, it was quick and dirty on what I had done. So this is almost like that. But you want that person to be excited to get to meet you. And ask if they happen to have a branding narrative. Have them send you one, because then that gives you more. The more you can know about that person. Look the person up on Facebook. Look the person up on LinkedIn before you have the one-on-one if it's somebody you don't know, because you will learn things about them and it will make your time talking so much better. Now, there's a saying that the fortune is in the follow-up. There's going to be very few relationships where one contact is enough. Now, if on our first date, my husband had asked me to marry him, I probably would have said no, and there might not have even been a second date, because I would have thought that was pretty daggone presumptuous. Now, the same thing is true with people you want to do business. And I see this all the time. And some of you know that the business that I love is collaborative entrepreneurship. And one of the things that happens in that drives me crazy, in fact, somebody out of one of my last B&I talked about somebody they had a one-on-one with that was in collaborative entrepreneurship, and they met and they told them about their product and they talked. And at the end, the person said to me, well, are you going to buy my stuff or what? Well, kind of like,
wow.
I mean, it's like, boy, that's not how that is.
Easy answer.
I'm not interested. It's about relationships and the know, like, and trust. You guys are doing great because you guys are doing one-on-ones like crazy, which tells me that in this COVID pandemic, a lot of business are doing greatly. The company I partner with, Nikin, we're having our best year ever. I'm personally having my best year ever, and actually in both of my businesses right now. But it's because you're getting out and you're making those contacts. For people that aren't, that's what it's about. And what I want everybody to be sharing their information, and for everyone to be doing those one-on-ones, because it will turn it around. Now, several different places, because I am a researcher, what they were saying is, even if you're very, very busy, so Drew, I'm going to tell you this because you're very, very busy, add one new name a week that you want to set. And you can do more. And certainly, Aaron, I remember starting businesses. When you start out, when I bought my franchises, I am a recovering shy person.
Get out.
Not knowing my name, and I sat in the back of lecture halls, and when I traveled on a plane, I would get in a book so that I didn't have to talk. If I went to a continuing ed, I would sit something beside me so I didn't have to talk to anybody.
Oh.
But
That's me.
when I bought my franchise, I was like, you know what? I got to talk to people. And I joined a Chamber of Commerce that afternoon and went to my first event that first night. And I am an introvert. I'm a noisy introvert, but I'm an introvert. I do this for a while and then, man, I just got to rest because this is too much. So, but you've got to do that but make it fun. You know, what I had to make it was, wow, these people are novels because I love to read. And so that's how I motivate myself to talk to people, because I get to read that novel. I get to know something about you. I know that every person I meet is somebody that is interesting. And so that's what I'm going to be giving to you and sharing. You know, go to the meetings, but always, and you know, I'll tell you, Bill Davis always said that you only need one good networking group. And he warned people, if you ever took 100 Days to Abundance, don't do too many networking groups. Cut down on your networking groups and ramp up your one-on-ones. And I've done that this year. I've cut out one of the networking events that I had been doing for many, many years. And I'm looking now at what, because, you know, I'm seeing patients. So that's time that I can't cut. And then I've got to do this other. So I've got to have the time to do the one-on-ones. So that's the other thing. If you're doing too many where you don't have the time for the one-on-ones, you might want to think what is most important. And as business people, it's always going to come down to return on investment. You know, as much as you may love an event, if you don't get it, now, if it just feeds your soul, because I'm going to tell you, you got to feed your soul. If you're going to a networking event and you're not getting anything out of it, but being at that event feeds your soul, keep doing it, because you gotta fill yourself up with joy. But if it's just okay and you need the time to be doing the one-on-ones, then I'm going to encourage you to pare that down so that you really have the time to make at least one-on-one a week. Because you know what happens if you're driving that car and you've got the accelerator down, if you don't ever stop and get gas, there's going to be the moment that you stop. And that has happened to me more than once. Let me just tell you, I'll get really, and I was looking over the last few weeks, I've not done as well with my one-on-ones. Why? Because I was going so fast. And I know what will happen. I'll get to a point like, oops, I've gone too long now. So that's what kind of comments and all do you all have to make about this?
Well, I picked up several things, and a couple of them were things I do. I didn't say them necessarily the same way you did, but I've learned in sales, if you want something, you got to ask for it, because it doesn't find you. And that's just as simple as I can put it. If I want an appointment with someone, I have to ask for it. And it's so interesting to me that all the training through AFLAC and all the things they do, there are no new sales tactics under the sun. Still sales. And those are the things I've had to learn. Those were the hard lessons I had to learn, was to pick what I felt comfortable with doing myself and then evaluate and see if it's actually working for me. I just asked questions. 20 years ago when I did insurance the first time, if I saw somebody in their yard, it was a little safer back then, but I could stop and say, hey, I know you got plenty of insurance, don't you? And 9 out of 10 did not. And I got more business that way, but that was just my approach. That was the way I would say it. And I approached them as someone that cared about their needs. And I don't say it that way now because I'm not in the same type situation as I was back then. But, you know, there again, you know, I did a one-on-one yesterday, and the question that I asked right toward the end was, how can I help you? What is it that I can do to help you? And of course, their question back after a discussion was, what can I do? Who are you wanting to see? Who do you need? I said, look, I need referrals. I live by referrals. I die by referrals. I have to have referrals, because somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. That's, you know, throughout time, that's the way that works. It's a little different now in the business world, where one of my most favorite insurance commercials is where the guy drove up and the guy's baling hay. He gets out and helps him finish the hay, and they don't even talk about insurance, and he leaves. That's been one of my most favorite commercials. because it let you know he was not there for the sale. He was there as a friend to that person that was baling the hay. So I want to be a friend. I want to be available. I want to be able to, if the business doesn't even come my way, if it goes to someone else, I've helped someone else get that business. So I've had to just rethink my whole approach, how I do things. And I want my face to show up. It's not pretty, but I want it to be a lot of places. I want it to show up at a lot of places. I want people to know who I am. Then I want them to ask me what it is. So I want to provoke them to ask me the question as well as me asking them. So it's all, and the networking is so important because it's a motivational tool for me because I get to see people I'm not going to get to see otherwise. So,
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
One of the things that I learned early about networking, and the example I'll use is the Apex Small Business Network. I probably was there for close to 4 months before I even got a lead. Even though I may have given other people leads, it just takes a while.
it
Yes.
does.
People have to get to know you. And again, I'm in kind of a unique situation because everybody doesn't want to write a book.
Right.
So, I have a much narrower group of people that I'm working with, although it's much wider than I thought when I started. There are a lot more people out there that are thinking about writing books than I thought, but it did take a while. And, it took giving other people things before looking to get anything. I was on a networking thing this morning and somebody private messaged me and said, I was wondering, can you tell me about anybody? I want to take a course in storytelling. What do you know? And I private messaged them back and said, I don't know of any groups themselves that do that, but I would look up meetup groups because there's probably some meetup group that either can provide that for you or tell you where the resource is for that.
Yeah.
So and I love being able to do that. It makes me feel really good to help people. And I think everybody likes to help people. And that goes back to the ask. If you ask somebody and they offer you something, um, they feel good too.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's a misconception among people. They don't want to appear that they're begging for something. I'm not begging.
Yeah.
I want to get to know you. I want to be your friend. I want to help you. If you have insurance needs, then I'm your guy. I took on 13 other companies to contract with just because, and I love Aflac. Don't get me wrong. I don't cast stones. Aflac. I love Aflac. Great company, but there were things they didn't do, and so it limited me as to what I was able to do, and why would I give that business away when I could do it myself?
Right.
And so I got a phone call out of the blue. I'm driving to a 2 hour away meeting back before COVID, and the guy starts talking to me, and I thought, well, you know what? Let me just give this guy some time, let him say what he's got to say. And so I threw the scenario out to him about a case that I wanted to work on, but I didn't have what I needed to do it. And within 5 minutes, he had it done for me. And I'm like, can we continue this on my way back home? So he said, yeah. So I called him on the way back home, and that started that ball rolling. And I believe that was an ordained phone call, if you want to know the truth, because I was kind of stale with what I was doing anyway, and I needed that shot in the arm. And since that time, it's just been, there's not anything I really have to. Well, I've had to say no a few times to some cases, but for the most part, there's enough tools in my belt now to do my job. Had I not gotten that phone call, I probably wouldn't have pursued it any further. I checked it out. I checked the company out. I did all of that. And a friend of mine actually went there. It's in Hendersonville, North Carolina. He actually on vacation stopped by because I got him involved with them. And he stopped by and saw the office. And when he got back home, he told me, he said, "This is a class act, man. You're involved in something really good here." They have been supportive. Anything I need, they're helping me with. Come to find out, they had nobody on eastern part of the state doing what I do, but they had like 2,500 agents everywhere else. And I'm like, this is like a gold mine. And then I sent them so many people because I talk about referrals. So I thought, let me help some of my colleagues out. You guys need to call this company. And they finally called me and said, stop sending people to us. And I'm like, okay, why? Because you need to be doing that. We'll send you the referrals. We'll send you the people.
Nice.
You train them and you put them to work for you and you make money off of them. So I'm looking for agents now. I just didn't want to go look for people because I felt like I needed to do everything myself. It was my business and I didn't want to get involved in that. But when he said, we're going to send you the people and all you got to do is train them, let them ride with you a day or two and or work with them now. We'll be doing it virtual. But when he said that, I'm like, oh my God, this was just like why I said, I think it was an ordained phone call because, I want to help people. That's my whole deal of being in this business is helping people. If I can't help them, I don't want to do this anymore. So I have just a little different, I guess, approach or outlook about it than most people do. This is my business, but I think it's what I'm supposed to be doing. Because every time I tried to get away from it, it always came back like a boomerang. It just keeps coming back. I'm like, after a while, I want to say, either leave me, I've either got to leave it alone or I got to do something about it. So my decision was, okay, I'm going to do something about it. So that's where I am right now. As slow as it may have been, and it has been, it's going to be better. And networking has probably been the best shot in the arm for me because I would have never done this because I always looked at it like, well, these people are all better than me. They're all doing better than me. They're all so much further along than I am. That's not true. Everybody in networking is helpful, kind. They're doing the same thing I'm doing, maybe a different type of business, but they're doing the same thing I'm doing. Their goal is the same goal that I have, is to help people, and they do it by referrals or whatever. So yeah, it would be real. I'd be hard pressed right now to stop networking because it would be like taking one of my arms off or something. I can't do it. I've got to see my people. I've got to see my peeps. It's important, very important.
Absolutely. Well, has anybody got anything else before we close today?
No, this was a great session. I'm really appreciative to everybody.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think it's really just, getting, and like I said, you guys are above because I've heard this asked in other places and I've been polling people and the one-on-one. So you guys are the cream. So I hope you'll come back next week. We're looking for presenters. So if you have a subject you would like to present on, I would love it. We have got some slots available right now, and tell some other people to come on. It's a great place to grab your lunch and get on. And like I said, each week we try, just like Triangle Business Breakfast, to provide something of value for you. So you can, you eat your lunch and you also get to hear some stuff and everybody get in touch with each other and do some one-on-ones. And on Thursday, it's a Fuquay Arena Small Business. It's at 9:00 and you can get there by the Facebook or the website has got the information on it.
Kimball?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I would be more than interested in presenting here. If you would either like to stay on and talk about it when we're officially over, or we can schedule something to talk about it.
Can we schedule, because I actually have a 1:00.
Yeah, sure. I don't have your contact information. What's the best way to get in touch with you? Should I just message you on Facebook?
Don't you have it in the chat?
I've got it in the chat, but I don't know if she gets the chat.
Well, let me open the chat because I didn't have it open.
Oh, okay.
Okay, everyone's putting their stuff in the chat, so I'll put mine in and then I'll save the chat. How's that?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that would be great.
It's not a problem. I didn't know we were doing that.
Yeah, that's because Kimball forgot to tell you.
And Drew, have you presented here before?
Yes, I talked about listening about a month ago.
Yeah, he did a really good presentation.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that.
But I might present again.
Yeah, I would appreciate it if you could work that in.
And Roy, I want to get you scheduled again too, because Roy has some If you've not heard Roy do a presentation, you are really missing out.
Yeah, he was good.
Roy is a entrepreneur's entrepreneur. Let's see.
Well, thank you, Kimball.
You really are. I mean, you know, that is a big deal.
I want to say one thing real quick, and this is, I always said it as a joke, but I think it's kind of cool the way it happened. When I first started with Aflac, I was in Irwin, and of course I wanted to see all my friends and let them know what I was doing, blah blah blah. But everywhere I went, I pulled a door, I heard the name Eddie. Everywhere. Eddie. We know Eddie. He's at Aflac. We know Eddie. Eddie. I got so sick of Eddie. I hated Eddie. Because everywhere I went, that's all I heard was Eddie. Then one day one night I'm laying there in bed. I'm thinking, I need to get to know Eddie.
I think so.
Who's Eddie?
So Eddie was, an Aflac guy in Irwin, been there all of his life. Everybody knew him.
Mhm.
Guess what I did? I got up with him and I said, hey, I want to come by and talk to you. And I went by and talked to him. We built a friendship and relationship. And he's retired now, but we still stay in touch with each other. And if I need any information, I call Eddie. Do you
That's
know
awesome.
Joe over here? Or do you know Bill over here? Yeah, they've been here this many. He can give me all of
Wow,
his.
that was smart.
So I'm like, my goal was get to know Eddie. So I've used that as kind of a motto, get to know Eddie. Because if everywhere you're going, they're saying the same thing, there's got to be something about Eddie that I need to get to know. So that's
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
something that I just wanted to throw that out because I still laugh about it sometimes. And what am I going to do? I'm going to get to know Eddie.
That's a good suggestion, Gary.
All right, guys, it's right at 1 o'clock and I've got to go. Aaron, I'll be in touch and I hope to see you all soon.
All right. I'll drop you an
Thank
email.
Here.
Great session.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Take care.